In the winter of 2019-2020, the COVID-19 pandemic emerged from China as an exponentially growing infection of a human population with no immunity. Within weeks, major sectors of the global economy collapsed. The number of deaths and the economic impact varied greatly across countries. A country's cultural cohesion and the competence of its leaders were key determinants of the outcome. How has COVID-19 affected world politics? Kevin Rudd, former Prime Minister of Australia and an astute observer of China, worries that fraying U.S.-China relations will have an unraveling effect on world order. In his words, the result will be a continued slow but steady drift toward international anarchy across everything from international security to trade to pandemic management. With nobody directing traffic, various forms of rampant nationalism are taking the place of order and cooperation. The chaotic nature of national and global responses to the pandemic thus stands as a warning of what could come on an even broader scale. Kevin Rudd warns that with the wrong decisions, the 2020s will look like a mindless rerun of the 1930s. The coronavirus pandemic is entering a new and dangerous phase. 81 countries have seen a growth in new cases over the past 2 weeks. Beijing and Seoul have had a recent surge. Has the Third World War been triggered by an invisible virus that currently involves 180 nations, producing major casualties around the world? This is the thesis of Robert Hormats in an article entitled "World War III Isn't What the Strategists Thought It Would Be" in the current issue of Great Decisions, FPA's flagship publication. Bob Hormats posits that our strategic analysts were trapped in a mindset of the past, while future types of security threats were given too little attention. We will eventually overcome this pandemic, but there will be others. How we prepare for the next one should be considered now, not during the crisis. In that regard, legislation has been introduced in the House and the Senate to form a bipartisan commission to review the U.S. response to the 2020 pandemic. Several topics relating to national medical security have been surfaced by the stresses of the pandemic that may be suitable for consideration by the Commission. They include excessive dependence on foreign suppliers for important drugs and the management failures and shortages that plague procurement of personal protective equipment. But after this crisis recedes, the emphasis needs to be on a reality that scientists and doctors and researchers now well understand. Their efforts to succeed and humanity as a whole will best be served by close international cooperation to address the new security threats of the 21st century. Thank you for joining us on this first day of the Global Policymakers Series Inaugural Summit.